for the tips. Okay, for today's session, my lecture is about the my lecture is about the websites and online sources. Okay, right now, we are in the 21st century. And although history is related to the past, but as we know, right now, the sources for the history are also changing. Change because right now, although history refer the premier or the main sources for the history are the files and also the documents. But right now, we also have alternative. For example, when the students want to do a research related to Japanese occupation in Malaya during the year 1941 to 1945, so you can search for the sources, for the primary sources in the National Archive of Malaysia or in the other archive in Japan or in other country. But sometimes you facing a big problem, and you're facing a problem when you don't find the sources. So in history, right now, we also have an alternative. I mean that you can find sources in websites and online sources. For example, you can find the sources in websites. For example, in Singapore right now, when you want to search for newspapers, because in history, newspapers also regarded as the primary sources. So when you want to find the sources, newspapers as your sources, so right now we have one of the best for me. Right now, I think one of the best websites from the National Library of Singapore. They have newspapers platform or newspapers websites. So from there, you can search for sources. And actually, they also have a wide range of sources. For example, in the Singapore National Library sources, they have newspapers in Malay, in Bahasa Melayu, and also in English, and also in Chinese, and also in Japanese language. So when you put the keywords in their websites, okay, after this, I will show you how to search for sources in newspapers in the National Library of Singapore websites. And then you put the keywords, and from there, you can find many sources. And also, it will help you to, please make it clear that this is not the main methods. As a historian, when you start writing, you must have a clear, in your mind, clear issue that you must have document and files as primary sources, as the main primary sources. Because in history, we still regarding regards the primary sources, the file and document as the primary sources, as the main. But please make sure that you also put the secondary sources, especially in the literature review. When you want to do a literature review, you must also refer. And for the literature review, you don't have to put the primary sources, including the newspapers. Please make sure you only review the secondary sources. For example, books, articles, and also the working papers, dissertation, thesis, and also the academic exercise for the undergraduates. This is example of sources that you can review in your literature review. Okay, and regarding this topic also, under the themes or under the title of online sources. Right now, we also have many sources, including the secondary sources, books that have online sources. And this is also helping you to have wide sources when you want to do a research, especially in the secondary sources. So it means that right now, you have many choices, and then from there you can select, you can choose which one is good for you. Okay, we move to the next slide. Okay, when we discuss about the websites and primary sources or online sources, they have we have two kind of methods, two kind of examples that you can refer and put the websites and online sources in your writings. The first one is literature review. Like I said before, when you want to do a literature review is one of the important items in your writings. When you start writing, you must have in your proposal. Okay, after this, maybe Cikgu Anis lepas ni kan jumpa dah dapat penyelia. Jadi nanti akan diberikan tugas untuk membuat proposal. You have to write your proposal. So one of the important items in your proposal is LR or literature review. Okay, what is the importance of LR? Okay, the importance of LR is when you do a research, you will have to know the gap of your research. Mean that when you do a research, you must have a clear proof that other people, other researchers don't do a same research like your research. This is important. When you do a research, you do a LR, literature review, you will review many secondary sources. For example, books, articles, and also thesis, dissertation, and also other secondary sources. And from there, you know the strength of the writings, okay, the weaknesses, and then from there you can have a conclusion that they have a gap in the title. For example, you want to do a research about the Japanese policy for the education during the Japanese occupation in Malaya during the 1941 to 1945. And you review many sources. And the most important part in literature review is you must have a clear conclusion at the end of the LR that there was a gap in the writings that you have or you can fulfill the gap. And that's the best LR you can do. And then from there, you have a clear view about your research. And for LR also, they have other things that I think important also. For LR, other than the gaps, okay, the importance of literature review is you know your themes and also you know your topics. Because when you do research, when you start writing a dissertation, you will have what we call it topics. For example, like I said before, if you want to do research related to the Japanese policy education during their occupation in Malaya, so your topics is, your title or your topics is education. This is part of the social part of history. So from social part, there will have a subtopic is education. And from education, you focus on the Japanese policy on education. And from there, you know other sources related to your topic, because after this, you will become an expert in the topics in the teams. So you must have a clear knowledge about the writings that related to your topics. Because if you don't know, this is something that I think not a good sign for you who will become a historian after this. When you become historian, when you do a research, when you start writing, you must know your topics and the subtopic. And from there, from the literature review, you know about the writings that have a connection with the topics, and also scholars who do a research related to your topics. Because one day after this, you will become expert in the topics. So you must have a clear information about the other expert or other scholars that have or that do a same research, the same topic with your research. For example, when you do a research about the Japanese policy on education, one of the important writing is the writing of Professor Abu Talib. He is the former professor of history in history program, University of Science Malaysia, USM Pulau Pinang. And he done before that, before he retired, he have many writings related to the Japanese policy, because this is his expertise. So when you do a research related to the topic, you must know about his writing and also his view about the policy. So this is several importance of literature review. And and the second one is when you start to writing materials. So this is also important for you, especially when you can't find sources in the for example, you can find sources. When you can find sources in the National Archive, for example, in the library or in the archive, you can find. So you have an alternative, you have a choice to search for sources in another platform, in websites, and also the online sources. Then we move to our next slides. The steps to search for websites and online sources. There will have five. They have five steps when you want to search for sources. For example, the first step is you must select the research question in themes. This is important. For example, my field. My field is history of Islam. And right now, I do research, still working on articles related to the Majlis Agama Islam or the Islamic Religious Council in Malaysia. Because in Malaysia, every state have their own council related to the Islamic department. So they have their own Department of Islamic Council. So right now I want to do research about the Selangor Islamic Religious Council. So according to history, right now the institution known as Majlis Agama Islam Selangor. So when you want to search for sources in, for example, in National Archive. In Malaysia right now, National Archive of Malaysia, they have a system known as Online Finding Aids, OFA. So when you search for the research, when you search for the sources in the websites and the OFA or archive. So when you click the link, and from there you can put the keywords. This is something that I think many students facing a problem. For example, my FYP student, they okay, yesterday, one of the student met me, and then he said that he can't find sources. But the problem is the student don't know how to find or how to use the correct terms, because sometimes in the websites, in the platform, they have a different name for the concern. For example, MAIS, Majlis Agama Islam Selangor, before the independence, known as Majlis Islam Selangor, or after independence in the 1960s, known as Majlis Agama Islam and Majlis Agama Islam dan Hal Ehwal Melayu Selangor. So I mean that have different keywords. So when you want to find for sources, make sure that you try every different kind of keywords. Don't don't only focus on one keyword. Please put different keywords and when you want to find a sources in the websites or online sources. Okay, and then the second one is choosing the keywords. Make sure that you try different keywords for each of your research. And from here, you can please make sure that you know the different keywords. And how to know the different keywords relating to your research. Okay, how to know it? So my advice is you do a wide literature review. From there, you know the history of the institution and the history of your your topics, and from there you know the different keywords for your findings. Okay, then the next step is to selecting your sources. When you put you write, you have choose different keywords, and from there you can write your keywords in the websites, and then they will appear in the website many sources. And then your duty is to select the best sources. You can open all the sources, but please make sure that you select the suitable sources that related to your topics. And then the next step is running your search. Mean that you can also try to search for sources in another platforms and also refine your sources. This is the last steps. And when you follow all the steps from the step 1 to step number 5, so I think you have you have a best way to find and also to get your websites and also the online sources. Okay. If you have any question, you can ask me. You can unmute your. Okay, you can unmute and then you can ask for sources, and you can also write your question in the chat box. Okay, and then we move to other tips. Okay, this is several tips that you can follow when you want to find for website and online sources. The first one is to broaden your mind. Make sure that you have alternative. You have a clear knowledge. You have a knowledge that you cannot only focus on one website, because right now we have many websites that can help you to select for the best sources. And for example, in Malaysia, we have the National Archive or Arkib Negara Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur. You can search for their websites. And outside Malaysia, the best website for online sources, for the foreign sources, I think is the National Archive of UK, United Kingdom. The TNA, the National Archive, United Kingdom. They have the catalog, and then from there you can click the catalog, and then from From there, you can have the digital and also you can find for sources. Okay, I want to share also about the digital sources. Right now, the National Archive of Malaysia, Arkib Negara Malaysia, they begin to digitalize all the primary sources. They start with Selangor and also Perak, and last year, I think they completing to digitalize the Pahang state files. So for this year, I'm not sure. What I know is they start to digitalizing the sources, the files for Kelantan, I think, for Kelantan and Terengganu. So it means that when you go to search for sources in the National Archive of Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, in Jalan Duta, and then you can, from there, from the desktop, from the system, you can search and you can find the digital files. So it means that you don't have to search for the hard copy. And because before this, okay, during my period as a student, this is the long story, I think more than 10 years ago, when I was the PhD students. Okay, the methods is you have to find it manually. mean that when you go to the National Archive, you have to find the green form. Okay, maybe you're not familiar with that. Maybe some of the students may be familiar with that. Mean that you have to find it manually. You have to go for their system, compare system, and then from there you will find a list of sources that you want to search, and then from there you have to put you have to write all the titles and also the the information, other information related to sources, and then submit it to the counter, and you have to wait. And sometimes they have to wait for a whole day. In my case, sometimes I have to wait. I search for it. I send the form during the morning session, 9 p.m. for example, and then I only get the sources around 3 p.m. So sometimes it takes time. So this is not, I think, not good things to do when you want to do a research, because it wastes your time. You waste your time, and also you have to waiting for the staff to get the sources, because the sources are not located in the building. The sources, the primary sources, are located, although still in the National Archive, but located in the other building. So it takes time. So the staff will have to get the information from the system, and then they have to search for it, and then they have to send it to the counter. So it takes time. So after the COVID, okay, the National Archive of Malaysia have begun to digitalize many sources. So right now, I think you are quite lucky because you don't have to find it manually. You can go to the National Archive and then apply for search for the file that you want to have, and then wait, and then submit, and then wait for them to accept it. But if you are lucky, if the file that you want to search is they have a digital version, mean that you can read the files on the desktop, on the screen. And if you want to, okay, before this, if you search for file manually, you have to fill the form to photocopy the files. It takes time. But you are lucky right now. Actually, they have when you have the digital format of the sources, you can ask to print the files. So, and then I think it takes maybe around 1 hour or more, but this is, I think, quite good than before, because before this, when you want to photocopy a file, sometimes you have to get it next day, or the next day. And if you are lucky, you can get it at the end of the day, at the end of the session, before they close the counter on at 4 p.m. But if you're not lucky, you can get, or you only will get the sources for the next day or next 2 days. It's also happened to me. In my experience, sometimes I only get the sources. I only get the photocopy version of the files after the session. I mean that after that day, next day, or next 2 days. Okay, this is I think not good for you, because you waste your time to waiting for the sources. Okay, so and another second tips is to try various languages, because in the websites sometimes they have a different okay, the staff put a different name for the sources. In my case, for example, when I want to search for Majlis Agama Islam file, sometimes they have a different pronunciation, a different name. For example, agama, agama. Right now, agama in Bahasa Melayu, we use agama, AGAMA. But before, okay, after the independence, sometimes they use the words ugama with you. Ugama, not agama, ugama. So when you put the keywords only Majlis Agama, so you can't find it. So it means that you have to know different terms related to your topics. Agama, sometimes when you don't find a research or you don't find a sources with the title of agama, please change to ugama. How to know it? Okay, that's the important question. Okay, like I said before, you must have a broader knowledge about your topics, mean that you must do a literature review first. From there, you know about your topics, about the scholars, about the writing that related to your topics. From there, you know the development of the terms for your topic. For example, before independent, the council known as Majlis Agama Islam Selangor. After independent, the term are changed, Majlis Agama Islam Negeri Selangor and Majlis Agama Islam dan Hal-Ehwal Negeri Selangor. I mean that they have the term are changing. So from literature review, when you do a research, when you do a proper reading, you know the development of the terms. Okay, and also try different spelling. Like I said before, sometimes the student are also facing a problem. And they said to me that they don't find any sources related to the topics. But when I ask them, so how do you search for sources? They said to me that they use only the term. For example, they want to search for sources related to Kuala Lumpur. They write, okay, in the websites, they write Kuala with Kuala. But sometimes in the websites, the staff who put the sources, they maintain the main or the original terms that written on the documents. So on the document, they use the words Kuala with Quale, or Kuala with Kwalle. So it means that when you search for sources and you put only the Kuala terms, Kuala, so you definitely we don't find the sources. So it means that you must have information related to the development of the terms from Kuala with Kwalle, and right now the original terms, or the term that you use today is Kuala with K. So please make sure that you know the development or the information related to the terms, how they change, when they change, and right now, the actual name that used today and the actual the name that used before the independent. They have the different terms. And also, please make sure that you're adding new keywords while reading. When you want to search the history of Kuala Lumpur, please make sure that you have a different and a new keywords that used by the scholars. Sometimes when you only have information related to the Kuala, you don't know the different keywords. So it will limit you to find the sources. When you do a proper research, a wide reading, so from there you know there are different keywords related to Kuala Lumpur with different pronunciation. And also recording the use keywords, and please make sure that you record, you write all the keywords, put it on your books and on the list to make sure that after this, when you want to do a research, you have a clear, you know the development of the terms. Okay, and we move further to our to other slides. Okay, online sources. Online sources, like the original hard copy sources, they also have the two different two parts, two things. The first part is primary sources, and the second one is secondary sources. The primary sources is like the hard copy file or documents, mean that this is the original files or document that not been reviewed or read by other sources. Mean that this is the main, the original sources. The secondary sources is sources that related to something that have been used, have been read, have been read by other scholars. For example, they use the terms, they use the research, they use the file. Although they use the secondary primary sources, but when they write and refer to primary sources in their writings, so their writing is secondary sources, including newspapers. Okay, because sometimes students are not familiar with newspapers. They think that all the newspapers are primary sources. Yes, in the part in the part of when the reporters write a report regarding to for example the fire that happened during the period. So the report are primary sources, but when the reporter or the columnist write their view about something, for example, they have a column. Maybe for this in the newspapers, they have a column. For example, columnists, they have their own, their own part, their own column. So they give their knowledge, their view about something or some issues. So this is kind of from secondary sources. So make sure that you know how to put it. Not all the newspapers and magazine are under the primary and secondary. Please make sure you know the differences between these two parts. Okay, common search techniques. Search for an exact match. Okay, when you want to search for sources, for example, in OFA, Online Finding Aids, in the National Archive of Malaysia website, okay, you can put the codes for the keywords. For example, if you want to search for Mantin files or Mantin, about the source regarding the Mantin. Mantin is one of the location, one of the city, one of the small city in Negeri Sembilan, Mantin. Okay, so sometimes you can put the codes for the keywords. For example, this one, Mantin, and from there you can have many sources. Okay, this is one of the techniques. Put the quotes before, and then between the quotes you put the keywords. Okay, The second one is search for a specific site. For example, you can put sites in front of a site or the domain. For example, sites, okay, youtube.com. Sites, okay, and then you can put gov, and from there you can have help you to have a broad result for your search. Okay, and also sometimes you can exclude words from your search because sometimes there are so many sources. So sometimes you can exclude sources that don't have a connection with your search, with your keywords. For example, you can put dash in front of the words you want to leave out. For example, Mantin new. Mean that when you put new, so the sources that related to Mantin only those are during the old days, before independent. So you put the exclude words, dash new. So all the sources that appear in the websites will exclude the new sources for Mantin and only appear the old sources for Mantin. So this is some of the techniques that you can use when you want to search for the sources. Okay, and then we move further. Okay, documentation and historical sources of Malaysia. For example, here we have primary sources and also the secondary sources. For primary sources, we have archival materials, newspapers, oral history, private papers, maps, photo, video clips. It's something that video clip also have a kind of primary sources. For example, some of the video clips, for example, during the Second World War, during the Japanese occupation, they have many video clips and video related to the historical event that happened during the period. So as a historian, you can also refer to these video clips and put it in your writings. And the next sources is secondary sources, books, journal articles, thesis, academic exercise, dissertation, and also under the secondary sources is working papers. When someone they present a papers in seminar, so the papers are known as working papers. But make sure that working papers is something that not final, and because in academic life, for example, an academician, when they want to write an articles or books, sometimes they will present a paper in the seminar or forum. Okay, because from the presentation, sometimes the audience will give a comment, best comment for them to improve their articles. And from there, they will revise and make a correction. And from there, they will complete the articles or books and then submit for publication. So it means that in academic life, working papers is also important. This is one of the first steps before you complete the publication, before you complete the writings. But some academicians or writers, they put the term that this is the draft, please ask writers. There was a term, they write the terms, there was a words in footnote, for example, the words is they write that this is only draft for publication. Please refer, please ask writers if you want to refer, if you want to cite this publication. It means that the working papers still in the process of writing, not completed yet, and you must ask for the permission before you can cite their working papers. Okay, sometimes the writer put it. So I mean that the working papers are something that may be the last part, I think, under the secondary sources. the first one is maybe books, article, thesis, academic essay, and the last one is working papers. Okay, we go to primary sources. Okay, for example, we have National Archive of UK, Arkib Negara Malaysia, Online Finding Aids, like I said before, National Archive of Singapore, National Archive of Australia, and also National Archive of India. This is several example of archival material that you can find online. Okay, for example, okay, I will show you about this Discovery. Discovery is National Archive of UK. They have their own platform. And then from here, you can search for sources. I will stop my slides. I will show you the websites, to make sure that you know. You can. I will show you how to search for records or archival material in this website. For example, from here. From here, for example, you want to search for sources related to Japan, Malaya, for example. Please make sure when you want to search for the material, archival materials, don't please use general terms. Don't use the too specific terms. For example, from here you can put Japan Malaya. Okay, and from here you can have many sources. For example, here. For example, here in the National Archive of UK, they also have several, not many, but still have a digital copy of the file. For example, this one is available for download only. So from here, you know we will have a list of sources that you can refer. And from here also, you will know how to have the the reference, because when you write a thesis in history, one of the important issue is you must know how to put a reference to your sources. Many students don't know how to put the reference in the sources. For example, they do a research about the Japanese occupation in Malaya. So they refer to the, they have the file. Maybe they got it from National Archive of UK in digital form. So the issue is they don't know how to put the reference in the footnotes. So this one is from here you know the difference. So the difference is CP-IND-WOD-1. From here you know the reference. So you can put the reference in the footnotes. And also from here you can know the titles. Okay, this is the tips that I always said to my student when they want to know the reference and also the title of the file. For example, the title, the file that they got it from UK, from the National Archive of UK, COFO. For example, sometimes they don't know how to the titles. So my suggestion is just put the CO, for example, CO, and then from there you can put the CO or the title of that they didn't know related to the topics, and from there it will appear, and then from there, the list will appear that they have the differences and also they have the title. The title is the first page of the sources, the title of the sources. For example, this one, CP, IND, so the title is the Communist Party of Great Britain. Same also with the second one. This is the title, and also this is the reference is the the reference is the term that the words that you must put in front of the each sources, each sources that the archival sources that you refer, when you put it in the footnotes, this is something that important. FO 2621988. So the title of these sources is Foreign Office and Foreign Commonwealth Office, Embassy and Consulate Japan. Okay. Okay. Then also they have when you search for this website, they have also the digital version. For example, available for download only. You can click here. From there, you will have, you know, for example, you can click for the sources. And from here, if you're lucky, you will get the sources that you can download. Okay. For example, okay, preview. Click the preview one, and then from here, you can have okay, several pages of the archival of the file, not all the pages. Okay, this one. So if you're lucky, you can get all the sources. So it's also same with the Gale. Before this, the Gale company, they have the Primary Sources platform, a trial. So I'm also download many sources from the Gale websites, Primary Sources, COFO, they have many sources. So you can download it free. And during the trial period, I also asking my student to download. So they download, I think, more than 1,000 files, and also they share with me. So from from the list, there are many sources, and then if you are lucky, you can get all the sources, and also you can get all the pages. So this is one of the example how to search for a file in the National Archive of UK. And that, okay, this one is CAB. CAB, that is the different for this files, and the title is work. Okay, the title is Surrender of Japan. This one is the title. This is the tips how to know the reference, how to know the title of the file. Okay, so we move further. Okay, I also want to share with you how to know the title of certain file. For example, sometimes, okay, my tip is sometimes if you want to find a primary sources, you can read a books or articles, and from there you can you know the reference for the titles, and then how to find it and how to know the title of the file. Sometimes the writer are not put the complete name of the file. They just put the the references, FOCO. How to know the complete, the full title of the file. So my advice is you also can use the National Archive to know the reference and also the title of the references. This is only for the sources that they got it from National Archive of UK. If you got it from the different archive, for example, in Hong Kong, in India, or in America, Congress, right? National Archive of US. So you cannot use these tips. This is only for sources that you got it from the UK National Archive. For example, CO 1035, okay, /23/77, for example. From here, for example, you only know about the reference from the books or articles, but you don't know the full title of these sources. So please put the references. Okay, for example, this one is not okay. For example, 23, for example, dash. Or maybe we can okay, this one. Okay, we try different keywords. Okay, from here, for example, you will have different many CO1035 files that related to your research. For CO and also CAB, for example, CAB is the cabinet, British Cabinet Papers, CAB 27-29, for example. Okay, this one. Okay, for example, this one. When you read a book, so this is one of the example how to find a primary sources. Okay, so it means that you don't copy you don't make a plagiat when you refer to the sources. Mean that you can how to find a primary sources. Read a book and search for primary sources that has been referred by the writers. This is the tips how to find a primary sources. But please make sure that your discussion are not quite familiar with the original writers that you refer to, because this is that you will facing plagiat issues. Plagiat is something that you related to something that you write a piece or write a discussion that clearly have the same words with the original or other writers. This is plagiat. How to avoid it? You can find for sources, but please make sure you use your own words. This will avoid you from having plagiat issues. Yeah? Okay, and then we move further. We move to, sorry. Wait a while.
Doctor, sorry doctor for interrupting your mic.
Sorry. Unmute. Okay, sorry. Okay, so this one is important guide for colonial records. When you want to find sources related to Malaysian history, one of the important or one of the best index is Kratoska Index. This index has been completed by Paul Kratoska, one of the famous historian. He has many research and books about the history of Malaysia. For example, about the Japanese occupation in Malaysia. So he has an index to colonial office file pertaining to British Malaya. They have 12 volumes, cover the CO 273 and also other files. CO 717, CO 1030 by Pratoska. Okay, during my time as a student, PhD student, long time ago, during the time I have to find research, I have to find files manually. So this index helps me a lot when I want to find a research, find a sources. So from here you can. This is the manual index, how to find a research. Sometimes not the files, all the files are indexed in the National Archive of Malaysia. They don't have a digital version. So when you don't find a digital version, you must find it manually. So this is one of the important index. From here you can know, you can find many CO, FO, CAB. This is one several important files related to Malaysian history. Okay, and this one, CO, and also this is an example of microfilm. During that, before this, during the 1980s, before the 20th century, 1970s, 80s, 90s, we don't have a digital version. Sometimes the National Archive of Singapore, they buy, they bought this many file from the National Archive of UK, and the price is quite expensive. So the National Archive have to buy all the files, and the cost is RM1,000 during the period. And when they bought the file, so the files are in the microfilm format. And I'm not sure if you are familiar with this. During my period, many government gazette also they have a microfilm version. So when you go to National Archive, you have to when you want to search for government gazette, they only have the microfilm format. So you have to get the microfilm and then use the machine to read the microfilm. In National Library of UM, we have this microfilm and also the machine to read the microfilm file, but unlucky because what I know, several years ago, maybe last year, many of the files microfilm are damaged because the staff are has been replaced many times, so the new staff don't know how to handle with the microfilm files. So many are the files right now in the National Library of UM. You cannot read. So this is something that I think not good for our department, because luckily before this, I'm also one of the students who also benefited from this microfilm. Okay, and then newspapers SG. Okay, I want to show you about this newspapers SG. Okay, we have many platforms that you can find for newspapers online. Newspapers SG. The best one is Newspapers SG by the National Library of Singapore right now, because they have a wide kind of newspapers, and from Bahasa Melayu, from English, Chinese, and also other languages, including the Japanese version. And also the NUS library, they also have several kind of online sources, newspaper sources, Trove Australia and Bernama also. Okay, I want to show you about the Newspapers SG, because this is something that I always said to my student. If you can find sources in files in the format of file and document, you can find it in the National Singapore Library. Okay, for example, when you use these websites, for example, from here you can find many sources. Okay, many newspapers. For example, here I put the terms, the keyword is Japan Malaya. Okay, you put Japan Malaya, and from here, they have a collection of 35,000 records. Mean that 75 articles related to Japan and Malaya. But unfortunately, not all the files are open. And sometimes, if you find this, has been locked, and because there was a sign here that this file cannot be opened, so it means that you can open this file, and if you want to find for it, you have to go to their archive in Singapore. But they also have file that you can open it. For example, this one, Japan and Malaya. Okay, just click it, and then from here, you can have complete articles. But unfortunately, right now they don't have the service. They don't have the button to print or to to save it. During my time, I think 2 or 3 years ago, before COVID, I think you can download, you can print it. But what I do is I screenshot. Okay, my advice is you just screenshot all the all the articles, and then please make sure that you also have a screenshot of the titles in Japan and Malaya. This is the title and also the name of the newspapers, the Straits Times, their years, okay, their years and also their dates and also the page. Okay, they have service for email and print, but what I know, the service are not working anymore. So it means that you don't have you can't print or save as PDF, but you can screenshot. What I do is I screenshot all the files and also put in the folders, different folders. Okay, so this is one of the example. Okay, you can also find many sources from here. In my experience, these newspapers also help a lot when students cannot find a file or document related to their study. For example, my former student who do a research about the mining, gold mining in Pahang. When she find for sources for files and document, she can find many files and document in the National Archive. And then I advised to her that she had to find for sources in newspapers. And after that, she used these methods, and luckily, she can get many newspapers related to the history of gold mining in Pahang. So you can search and you can use this, I think, quite good for you as an alternative to the file and document, to the hard copy of file and document. But please have a clear in mind that this is you can't only focus and only use this kind of this kind of methods. Please make sure also refer to the files and also document, the hard copy for file and document in the National Archive related to the topics that you want to do. Not only refer to this kind of newspapers platform, but please make sure that the files and document become your main sources, because history, that is important. This only as become an alternative only. Okay, so we move further. Okay, I think we have several, I think, slides only left. So maybe I will stop my presentation after this, and then we go to our duty. Your duty as a student. Because after session, each class, you have to you have an add-ons, add-ons writings, or you have to do what we call practical question that you have to write. For my part, for my session, after this, I will share with you an document that you have to complete, and you have to send it to my email, because there will be a marks. You will get 5 marks for my session. So after this, I will share with you what you have to do for my session. Okay. So online is historical newspapers also. When you want to find sources, newspapers, sources, you also can search for it in the Google News Archive search and News Times. Okay, but unfortunately, NST don't cover all the years. Okay, in the platform, they only have version of 1972, 1976, 1980 to 2006 in the websites. I'm not sure if they have a complete set right now, but before this, they only the collection only limit to the years, and also you can search for National Library of Australia. They have available titles, many, more than 500 newspapers. New Sunday Times, okay, with the limit to the years that have been listed here. Penang Gazette and Straits Chronicle, National University of Singapore. Okay, this is also something that you can search for newspapers, and also the private papers. Okay, private papers mean that private papers is papers that become the private sources for the personal or for the organization. For example, if you are someone who are become of the leaders, one of the famous leaders, or you are public figures, sometimes you can have your own private papers. For example, in National Archive of Malaysia, we have many private papers. For example, Zabbar. Zabbar is one of the famous Malaysian intellect, famous thinkers. So Zabbar have his own sources, mean that the book under his collection or his writing. So when he passed away, his family give this collection to National Archive, and the National Archive will put these items under the private papers, including books that have been bought, or books under his name, whether his writing or the book that he had, but his family want to put the books under his private papers. For example, the late professor, one professor from UKM, Nik Anwar, Professor Nik Anwar, who passed away in 2010. Under his private papers, he has many collection of CUFO that he bought from, he got it from National Archive of UK, and also some books that under his name, and also give by his family to the National Archive. Okay, this is one, we call it private papers. And also under the institution, for example, UMNO, political parties, UMNO, or other institution, they can give this because we have acts. We have a law that in Malaysia, we have a law that every institution must send their sources to the National Archive, and they can put it under the private papers. ICR Singapore, they have private papers under many British residents and also British officials during the colonial times. National Library of Singapore, National Archive of Malaysia, National Archive of Singapore, and also Australia. Okay, oral history. Oral history is one of the alternative methods that you can refer when you want to do a research, when you start writing your dissertation. For example, oral history are quite good or become an important alternative when you don't have, the writing materials. For example, you don't have, when you want to do a research, you can find document, files, newspapers, although hard copy or soft copy or digital copy. So what you can do is you can search for oral history. Whether you do it by yourself, you do interview with the figure or with the person, with their family, or you can find for oral sources that has been recorded by previous researcher. For example, in UKM, they have a section in the office that keep the oral history recorded by, that been done by their student and their lecturers during the 1980s and 70s, 80s. In UKM, they have the collection. For example, they have a collection of many political figures, so and also academician and also other figures, public figures. So this also will help you to have sources that not have been used that you can find it in original or in the hard copy. You can get it from oral history, from UKM, from history, and also the NAS. Okay, so I think that's all for my presentation, for my lecture. So right now we move to our your duty as a student for my session. So right now I want to share you what you will have to do as a student, your duty for today's session.